Good morning. My name is Caitlin Hay, and from previous speeches, you know that I'm a respiratory therapist. So today, I would like to discuss the third leading cause of death, which happens to be a respiratory disease known as COPD. I want to go over first, what is COPD? Next, how do you get COPD? And finally, the treatments for COPD. Much of this information I'm going to share with you today comes from lung.org, cdc.gov, and medlineplus.gov. So first things first, what is COPD? COPD stands for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. To break that down, chronic stands for persisting, something that's lifelong that you're going to have to deal with over a long period of time. Obstructive, what happens with COPD is your lungs get irritated and inflamed, which causes poor gas exchange. Oxygen can't get in, and waste carbon dioxide becomes trapped and can't get out. And then pulmonary disease just simply stands for a lung disease. Usually, these include diseases such as emphysema and chronic bronchitis, but they have a lot of similar symptoms, so they put them under one umbrella known as COPD. The symptoms include excess phlegm and mucus, which causes frequent coughing and wheezing, and that also causes shortness of breath and trouble taking deep breaths. Just to give you a little bit of background, your lungs consist of little air sacs that are responsible for gas exchange. These are called alveoli. You have about 600 million of them in your lungs. And what happens is they're like balloons. They have elasticity. So when you're exhaling, they're just deflated balloons. However, when you inhale, they expand, which causes gas exchange. Here's a little depiction to help you. So when you inhale, the alveoli here, the oxygen blows it up and it expands to reach the tissues here. What happens is the oxygen crosses over into the tissues, which goes into the blood cells and goes throughout the body. You produce carbon dioxide waste, and that goes back into your blood cells, back up to the lungs, and crosses over into the alveoli, which when you exhale, goes back into the atmosphere. However, when you have COPD, what happens is the lungs, the alveoli in the lungs that usually have elasticity, it gets damaged. So either there's no more elasticity or it just causes very little gas exchange. It ends up looking like this. So there's very few elasticity. The mucus and phlegm builds up, causing the passageways to narrow. Therefore, oxygen can't really get in, and then carbon dioxide can't really get out. If the alveoli is able to reach to exchange gas at all. So that brings me to my next point. Secondly, how do you get COPD? So the main leading cause of developing COPD is actually smoking. Not only is it the leading cause of development, but it also is the leading cause in progression. Secondly, exposure to pollutants. So if you work at a job that produces a lot of air pollutants and you breathe those in, that can cause you to have COPD. Or if you happen to live next to a plant that produces this, again, that can cause you to get COPD. And then in rare circumstances, it can be genetic. You can have the antitrypsin deficiency, where the protein that protects your lungs is misshapen and it gets stuck in your liver and can't make it to your lungs. Therefore, the protein that usually protects the lungs isn't there, which raises the risk for lung diseases. Moving on to my third and final point is the treatments for COPD. If you end up with COPD, it's chronic, so it's lifelong. Therefore, there is no cure. The only thing you can do is manage symptoms. The way you do this is medications. There's things such as bronchodilators that dilate the bronchioles, which is the airways, and helps improve gas exchange a little bit. Then there's also steroids, which help reduce inflammation, opening the airways, again, a little bit more for gas exchange. Then there's oxygen therapy. If you're not getting enough oxygen, they might have to supplement it. And then in severe cases, they might have to do surgery to remove dead excess tissue. And in severe cases, they might even have to do a lung transplant. To recap, we went over what COPD is, how you get it, and then the treatments if you do get it. In conclusion, I just want to leave you with one final statistic. There are currently over 16 million people in the United States alone that have been diagnosed with COPD, and many more that have not been diagnosed. 9 out of 10 of those people that have COPD are from harmful cigarette smokes. As previously stated, there's no cure. So once the lung is damaged, the only thing that you can do is slow down any further damage by removing the cause of damage, aka smoking. Thank you.